Wednesday again. That means it's tour day again. Let me put my tweet out. I've been forgetting the last couple times, so I need to remember to do that. It is done. We're good. Okay. Before we get started, a couple of reminders. Today, of course, is maintenance day, and I believe it's set to be like a 5-hour long maintenance, so prepare yourselves. If you're watching live and want to get some playtime in before maintenance hits, again, you can skip this and watch it on YouTube later at your leisure or when the game is down, and get your playtime in now while you can. Excuse me, a little scratchy today. The weather's been kind of uncomfortable. It's been really warm, and then we had some rain, and it cooled off, and then it's a little warm again. It's just muggy, and I think it's. I don't think I ever actually got rid of the whole coughing thing entirely. It's been kind of like on the edge of things, so I'm hoping that I don't go back into another fit of that. A few months was long enough, so hopefully we keep that at bay. Good morning, Bones, and anyone else that happens to be in the chat lurking around. Always glad to have you guys join us live. Another thing to mention is we still have the builders, let's see, what is it called? The residential renovation event. That's upcoming. I believe it's the week of the 20th, somewhere around there. Yeah, the 20th through the 27th, it looks like. It's the Battle Chase version, which means it'll be the Exile and Dominion builders decor packs. That will be, all those goodies will be coming up. I forget what all that entails. I think it's the tanks and the weapons crates and stuff like that. So keep your eyes open for that, and take advantage of it when you can. There's other things going on this month. There's some new stuff coming, or I should say, some stuff revisiting the cash shop, and I don't know if Man and Face has been updated lately or not. I haven't seen any mention of that, but for sure the residential renovation is still to come. Let's see. I think that's it. I know there's supposedly some kind of a group that's visiting WildStar for the entire month of July, I think it is. Trying to get my, I think it's in general discussion. Yeah, it's called the MMO Book Club. Apparently it's a group of players that regularly vote on a game to like just kind of spam visit for an entire month, and WildStar was chosen for the month of July. And I think there was supposed to be an event, but I don't know if it's already. Yeah, I think it was not yesterday, but this past Sunday, that they had a community outreach thing, or maybe it's. I don't know, but I know that there's a lot of new visitors. So if you happen to see any of them, be sure and be kind. Hopefully some of them at least will hang around past the monthly visit that they're doing. I think it's a neat idea, and that they actually warned us that they were coming, so that if anyone wanted to organize some special gatherings and stuff, that reach out and get in touch with those members. But yeah, it's something nice. I know there's still ongoing things for like raiding and dungeon runs and stuff, but since I don't really get involved in any of that, I didn't even do that when I was really super active in the game. While that didn't really interest me too much, I know that others do, and it's nice that that is still going on. Yes, our focus is housing, but I know that's not the only thing that's there to do in the game. So it's nice if there's other things that still attract folks. But yeah, so I think that's all we have to mention before we get started. This week we are on Entity NA side, and we're going to visit a few homes. I've got 3 noted down, and I'm hoping that we can get through all of them before my 2-hour limit. I look at my wrist like I've got a watch, and I have no watch. It's just habit, I guess. But hopefully we get through all of them. The first 2 we're going to visit, they don't have interiors. I presume that there's probably bunker houses that's been covered up, but for whatever reason, the builders chose not to provide access to those areas. Again, sometimes it's one of those things where maybe they have an idea, but they don't have an idea for the interior part to tie in with the theme that they have on the outside. That's why you get a lot of builds where maybe it's one type of thing up above ground and then underground or whatever interior that they have, they completely switch to something else because they can't, or maybe they just chose not to make the 2 meld together. It's not like some places where you'll have like, it looks like a cave entrance and then when you go in it, it's actually a cave kind of thing. Some have a disconnect between the 2 spaces. Others just opt to close it off so that they don't have to bother with decorating it. It's not that it provides them extra decor limit outside, that remains a set limit, but maybe they just decided that they find that area not important enough or necessary for the build idea that they put together. And so the first 2 places we're going to be visiting fall under that category that they decided not to make that accessible, so there's nothing to look at. Now, in some cases, when that is the case, you can still get inside and you'll just find it empty, but these actually make it so that I couldn't find a way to kind of like sneak into it to see if there was anything in there. They've just got it covered up sufficiently enough that you can't even get the little door icon to pop up. At least I wasn't able to. So the first one we're visiting is a plot by Meep Beep. It's called Little Pond Park, and it's a cute place. Again, there's some plots that kind of lend themselves to the idea of being part of a community, even though they're not actually part of it. These are solo plots, but it gives you an idea of how, like, maybe you had these ideas for these little little scenes, and then later could blend them into a community setting. I could easily see this part of a city kind of community build where maybe they have the marketplace in one plot, another plot for like some of their like courthouse and town hall and guild hall and all that kind of stuff, and then another plot with maybe entertainment for like maybe they've got a hover park there and an amusement park and other things, and then this kind of like an in-between or just a nice space for families or guild gatherings to come and picnic and chat and have a little party, to come and spend some time on a special evening for story time or something like that. But that's kind of what this plot reminds me of. It's lends itself well to just about any kind of group that might come along, and not necessarily just a role play troupe, although that the housing system really lends itself well to those that participate in that aspect. But I thought this was cute. You could come and have fun with just chilling out after a raid or whatever, and so yeah, I wanted to show this place and let folks see that you don't have to utilize both interior and exterior to make a really nice plot, something interesting with bits. So we'll just kind of go through and hopefully I don't miss any of it. Some of it's pretty overgrown, as you can tell. There's lots of trees and stuff, but I'm hoping that we'll spot all of the goodies out and about as we walk along the paths. Straight away, you see that they're using the white picket fence and the archway with the vines. These in particular come from the spring decor pack. There are the archways and posts and fencing that you can craft if you have the architect profession, but those are kind of a little more ragtag. The slats for the fencing, for instance, are crooked and not exactly shaped perfectly like these are. Um, and they don't come with the vines on them. That's kind of an addition. Now, do note how big the archway is, and then the fences have been sized up to kind of match it. And there's a reason for that. Part maybe this because it's an actual public park. They might have liked having the oversized archway, but if it's for like a small Oran garden or something, you still have to make it pretty big because the collision between the space between these vines here is pretty narrow, and the smaller you make it, the more confined it is, and it can get to the point where you can't actually pass through the archway, which is frustrating. Whoever set up the collision for this, I guess, wasn't considering the possibility that folks might want to, if it comes in just a standard size, you can't pass through it like normal. So it always has to be sized up. So just FYI on that. If you decide to purchase that particular decor pack from the cash shop, be aware that it has that little bit of a quirk. The pathways are, of course, just Oran floors, and then they've used just all sorts of different foliage. I'm going to step out here in the open real quick. We'll backtrack a little bit to catch everything, but for most of like the little rolling hills here, you'll see they've used I believe it's the ProtoStar Insta Hills that you can get from a decor pack. Now, if you don't want to spend your bits or your real money on those particular decor packs, there are other ways to make little rolling hills. I've seen some use the tops of domes, the sides of like the Google statues, even the hay piles. I think those were a big fave. I saw one beautifully done. It looked like a rolling hills, just golden, like a meadow kind of thing, and they had lots of flowers and stuff. The trick is they had to use a lot of grass patches to cover up the golden hay if you don't want the gold color. With this one, they've kind of got, it looks like falling leaves, and so you get that kind of like autumn feel almost with the brown. Oh my gosh, my cats are going nuts. You can see that they've got the brown, so it would probably fit all right with the hay piles being a golden color if you're going for this type of thing. But if it's really, strict on, like maybe if they had chosen like the Celestion ground cover, where it's more green, then you might have a lot more work ahead of you trying to cover up those. But that's probably the cheapy way to get some rolling hills without having to resort to buying the ProtoStar Insta Hill packs. Now, the next best thing would be to cleverly use the upside down snowy hills. But again, those are flat surfaces and they're kind of hard to mesh up together. Most builders will find clever ways of kind of sealing the edges by using rocks and bushes and overgrowth lumps and stuff like that to kind of blend it in. But there is ways that you can kind of make it look like slopes and things like that. So just wanted to mention that. But you can see there's a variety of different trees. There's some that you would imagine would be in Celestion. There's some pine trees and stuff. There's even desert plants. So they've managed to blend all of this in nicely for interesting decor choice for some of these areas here. So as you can see throughout, there's these little nooks and crannies for people that want to have a private place, a little, maybe they want to sit there with their uh, small family group or a special someone, and just kind of out of the way. It's still in a public place, but they're kind of secluded a little bit. Well, ours aren't allowed outside. That was kind of a rule from the adoption agency with the kitties, because they're kind of, I guess, susceptible to not being able to find their way home because they'd be like too freaked out by having that freedom. But with them having access to upstairs and downstairs, when one gets kind of too far away, the other one just goes into a kind of, I don't know what you call it. It's not mewling exactly, but they sound so despondent and sad until the other one comes and finds them. So yeah. Here they've used one of the topiaries to kind of, it's kind of like a statue kind of feel to it, even though it's, the greenery. And then just plopped it on a stone with some of those, I don't know what these called, ferny type plants, for decoration around it. Let's see, I'm trying to decide which way we want to go. Let's go this way. You can see how they've tried to blend in some of the buildings and such, adding greenery and stuff on top of it and around it. I'm not even sure what this is. I didn't look in it the last time I came to visit, so yeah, it just looks like a little like mini clubhouse kind of thing. I like how they've changed the little pocket here on the coffee table into like a cooler for drinks. They've added the, I think it's the frozen water on the bottom, and then probably layered glass to get it a little frosty to make it look like the water level's up, and just using that to cool their drinks. And then back behind the little clubhouse, have this little seating area as well. Don't ask me what these are there for. I have. And then this structure here, you'll see that kind of throughout. There's a few, I can't remember if they did, yeah, they did the roofing a little bit different. This one's got no like little spiky bits on top, and here they've got the brambles on top of it, just kind of give it a little weird look to it. They're like pavilions, I think, or like parasol tops. One thing I thought, someone could easily modify this and add some walls and make these into like little native huts. These would be good for a beach scene, if you're going for like some kind of resorts, or just place where there's like cabanas and stuff for people to enjoy. But this one's made out of the thorny logs. Now I think it's the thorny log piles. I don't think it's individual sticks, but it could be. If it is, that's a lot of sticks to use, but I suspect it's the thorny log pile. Again, they could change the look. This looks more autumny because they used the brown version, but there is the green thorny logs as well that could, change the look of it a little bit. Notice the lots of flowers. These particular ones are the ones that are actually in that little wooden kind of crate holder, and they've just pushed the crate down into the dirt enough that you don't see that. You can see the little dirt pile that's usually visible. I loved this particular batch of flowers because it's a nice clump of arrangement of flowers, and I would use them. I'd sink it down and like use it for trim around a house and stuff. And this, I like how they've done that. in that they've tapered it as well by making some of them larger and then slowly scaled it down till about regular size. I thought that was a nice touch to kind of, it's like a natural wall of sorts. The base of this is, of course, cylinders of, I think it's Exile flavor. And of course, using those, I swear, I think I said it several times that I don't like the brown round table that you get in like the starter kit. And from there on, that we always see them in the builds. But as typical, I'd say 95% of the time, they're sunk down, so you don't see those big old long legs that the table actually has. Of course, the base of this little structure is another dome or cylinder. As you can see, just it's not even a full round. They just did it just enough to give a little bit of an overhang kind of. Over here we have the little grilling station. It's basically just the edges of, I think it's Exile floors, and then set inside it to kind of be like a gravel space, I guess, for making it so it's not to spread fire in case some embers come off. Is the Draken fencing. It's the ones with the little skulls. You can see the skulls there. A lot of people like to use it for caves and things, but this is, I think, a clever use for it. Morning, TW. Glad you could join. And of course, you got your picnic area here, and then the lovely kitty playground. It's adorable. They went hog wild with the color shifting to kind of brighten it up, adding a lot of pastels and stuff for the kitties. The area around here, I think, is cylinders, the hollow ones for the walls, or it could be curved walls. But since it goes quite a ways around, I think it's just a giant cylinder. And it looks like maybe two of them together, possibly, to get that thickness. And then the interior of it is the upside down barnacle weed. It's the one that I always say looks like chocolate. I use it for candies and stuff. Some people use it for like mud piles or puddles or whatever. But it just gives a different look as compared to the brown grass here. And of course they've got the expected bits for a playground. They've got the merry-go-round here. It's made out of triangle pieces, color shifted. You've got the it's one of the Oran fence pieces, and they've just used it in, like, it's the same piece here and here, but one's upside down for the little center piece here, and then the others are upright for the cornering. I think it's like an Oran post and then two fence pieces a little bit. I think it's a cylinder thing for the base, and then the center, of course, is that Oran pillar. Here they've created a little sand pit. It's basically, again, several of those cylinders. It looks like two or three of them, and one they've recolored just to kind of make it pop a little bit. And then for the sand, they've used sandbags. Just multiples of those. You can see there's just many of them to make that smoothed out a little bit. The way they've got the spade has actually got this really long handle, but they've kind of squished it down and tilted it just enough so that it looks like it's buried in there. And then of course they got the sporty spear, a couple of colors for that. The little swing set is adorable, nicely sized too. It's not overly huge. It's pillars hanging chains, and then metal edge 2x4s for the seat. Notice they got a wider one here and here. And it looks like they have a bigger swing set over here for, yes, the Grannock and Macarians, a little bit smaller, larger in size. Or maybe for the parents, who knows? They're here watching their kids, so I guess they have to enjoy themselves too. Before I get too far, I want to catch this little thing here. It looks like a nest. That's an upside down hay pile, I think. A lot of people like to use it in their chicken coops, and or when they're trying to do like a setting with like some Ravenock birdies. We've seen some use them to pretend like they're dinosaur nests with eggs and stuff. So it's a really fun. Actually, I think this might be a haystack, the round one. But you can also use the hay piles. Those make good nests. And then of course the hugels. Don't know if it's just like a little statue kind of thing or if it's supposed to behave like the mama and baby hugels or something. I have no idea. This here is a little combo piece. It's a slide and a ball pit. The ball pit is actually the Marauder berries decor, which I thought was clever because usually a lot of us will actually get like individual like sporty spheres, or we'll even go through using like the two halves, the domes, and making a single ball, and then we'll like put a bunch of those. I've seen some use the bottoms of the tall files. This is much smarter because obviously the Marauder berries has lots of sphere shapes, and then you can get away with using just a number of clumps to fill this in. So I thought this was a clever use of that decor. I don't think I've seen a ball pit. I mean, we've seen ball pits in the past. I don't think I've seen one put together in this using this particular item, and I think that's smart. Now with the color changing ability with the shifting feature, I could see this being changed to something maybe, I don't know if you could get a white version, but maybe you could switch it to a yellowish color. I think it depends on the item's original color and how well it color shifts, but I bet it could work for maybe popcorn or something like that. But you can see they shifted it on the edges of the wood here, and then added the rope barriers. I think that's Marauder style or something. I'm not quite sure. Just exile floors, some planks here, pillars, and then for the slide, it is cover park piece. I don't know which one, but no. Now, it would be fun if we could get those shrooms like they have in like Celestion, where you can actually bounce and it elevates you a lot higher when you jump on them. But that's what this kind of reminds me of, that the kids can jump from shroom to shroom. Kind of like these platforms here for this little jungle gym thing. Now, I don't know what these are meant to be. I don't know if it's just for play acting, like the kids are. I really don't have any idea what these are supposed to represent. But it looks like little controllers for something. I don't see like little cars or anything or spaceships, so I'm not sure what they're meant to control necessarily. But yeah, there you go. Go back out this way. Again, a lot of this is hover park pieces, the little windy path upward, these little shelves here. But I love that they've color shifted these all just to make them look, you know, more kiddified, like an actual play park. Jumping is horrible, and I'm not even really having to do nothing. Of course, this part here is the decking railing. And then this here is one of the gates atop some of the pillars. Again, the color shifting really lends itself nicely to this little castle kind of thing. The benches. And this here is just blocks with the triangle pieces and 2x4s with this little archway. Of course, go down the little, presumably it's a nice big slide kind of thing. Yeah, a cute little playground area for the kitties. Yes, there's probably other things they could add. I've seen some make teeter-totters, monkey bars with the ladders. Uh, some have done like a, what do you call it, the zip line kind of thing that the kids can swing on. Trying to think what else. Some have actually made like, it's kind of like this, but like they include like the rope ladders and little hammock things, and it looks more like a castle kind of setup, but it's like miniaturized for kitties. Uh, we've seen some do the, for the like the really little kids, it's like a little spring, and then it's got like a critter on top. They like using the plushies and stuff. One of those that supposedly it would like go sproing when the kids get on it. I've seen some of those. Trying to think what else. In a few do like small little go-karts, or actually do like I saw one that's done a tricycle. Scooters are another favorite. Wagons around where like the sand pits are and everything. There's just all sorts of things you could go with, but I think this is a really cute little setup. In the middle here, got another, see how she can't go through? That's that collision. So smaller than the entrance one at the front. Can't actually get through. It's frustrating that that's the case, but you can see that these, I believe, are the crafted version of the picket fence, because they're all kind of crooked and they don't have the nice little points and stuff there. So I'm assuming this is kind of like a pet park, a dog park kind of thing, that they're using like, I don't even know what this critter's called, but where they're put into a little gated area and they're free to roam without the leash and stuff like that. That's what I think this is supposed to represent. Another hedge piece. You're wondering what that is. A lot of this, it's switched from the Oran floors to the boardwalk pieces for this area. Now, I don't know if we're meant to go into this over here. It's just an oversized, I think it's a pine tree, and they've added in these, I like the way they've arranged it. It looks like flowers. It's basically just the pink pillows over here, so my camera's not squished. Pink pillows surrounding one of the purple round pillows, and it looks like little flowers, which I thought was fitting for the park theme that they've got going here. Over here you have a little dock kind of thing. Again, it's boardwalk pieces, multiples of them. And then if you're wondering about the animation, that's to do with the waterfalls, the newer version, the one that you can get from the decor pack from the shop. It also includes a lot of these grass patches, the lily pads. I haven't noticed it yet, but it's probably got the dragonfly, little flitting little insects. It comes with the waterfalls, of course, and then I can't remember what else. But it's all to do with like a water feature. So it gives you a lot of stuff to work with. Okay, let's go to this part here. Make sure there's nothing back here that we're missing. Looks like it just joins up with the flower seeds. Now this structure, I'm not sure what it's called, if it's called anything at all. I considered it something kind of like a private lookout kind of thing, since it's slatted and there's gaps, but the gaps are so tiny, I don't know if it's really meant for a lookout type of thing. Just maybe just for a private room space kind of thing. But it looks like they're using the thorny log piles again for the base. 2x4s and exile floors here. And then for the slatted part, again, it's the thorny logs, but this time the individual ones. And then if you go inside, you see that it's also being used for the ceiling or the roof. It's just, I mean, you can see outside, but it's not thingamabob. Yeah. Whatchamacallit. But yeah, I don't know, just a quiet meeting place. Maybe someone could come and read a book, or just have a private discussion with somebody that they don't want everybody and their brother seeing that they're there, I guess. I really have no idea behind it. Not clear to me. Over here, just a little seating area for those that got tired walking around the park, need a little rest stop. Over here, again, another little seating area, showing off some of the spring decor pack it comes with, the little clumps of flowers. They've added in some of their own, I think. The weeping cup flowers, I think, and possibly some of the here, but I'm not sure. And then, of course, the little leprechaun on his little statue base there. Now, these plants here, this one, and I think this one here, and this one here, I think those are part of, I'm not sure if that's actually part of the little clump bits, or if it's the potted ones and they just sunk it down so you don't see the pot itself. I know there's like 3 or 4 of those in the spring decor pack too. I like how they've, kind of braced some of this with the stone, just to break up the monotony of not having stone all the way around. This part here, I think it's those purple bushes, and then they've added the weeping cup flowers onto it to make it look like little white flower bushes. Along the edges are some of the spring decor flowers. Boardwalk leading up into the Orin landing, and then topped with those logs again, similar to what we see over here, but it looks like again, it's not topped with the little bushy part like this is. It looks a little thinner as well, like it's not a double layer of logs. And then, of course, the base is different. Looks like the dead logs or the roots of a tree being used to hold it up. They've added some foliage up above to make it look like almost kind of like a natural chandelier type of thing. with using some of the purple plants. It looks like the snow flowers, and then just one or two of those green bushy things. I don't know what it's called. This is just one of the crates, I guess, to make it look like a little stage, or maybe someone telling a story, or doing a comedy act, or maybe they just come here for some kind of a ceremony, promotions, or awards, or who knows what. And then over here is a little picnic area. Again, boardwalk pieces, uh, spring plants from the decor pack, and then tiki bar, which they've decorated up with some plants. That part, um, they've recolored some of the coconut monkey drinks. This could easily be modified slightly with maybe some screens or something to make it look like actual menus on here for the list of the drinks and stuff. But it's just 2x4s, wall floor pieces, and then of course anything back here. I suspect this might be like restroom. Notice how they've distinguished between male and female for the restrooms. Got the hat for the guys and the flower for the girls. That's a cute way of doing it, especially for this particular theme, but we've seen other ways that folks have done it using either portraits, putting a female portrait and a male portrait. Some have gone to the extent of actually making little icons with different shaped pieces to represent the girl and the guy kind of. Of course, the picnic area itself. And I think that's it. If we did have access to the interior of the plot, I think it'd be right around here somewhere. But again, the base of this pond is upside down barnacle weed, I think. Why it looks kind of like swirly, softened sand or whatever. Kind of hard to get a good overall uh, picture of what this park looks like, but if I get a good spot. Probably about as high up as I can get. Really, again, so many trees and stuff, it's hard to get a good picture. But you can see the pond is kind of like the centerpiece, hence the name Little Pond Park. And then just decided to make these little bits here and there. The pavilions and the park, or the kiddie park, I should say, in the park, that kind of stuff. So very cute. Again, it could be used for any group that wants to come through. And again, it could also probably pretty easily be melded into a community plot if they so wanted to add a nice little city park or. Okay, the next one we're going to visit is Nanami Sprocket. If I can get the spelling right. Again, I believe this one does not have access to an interior, or at least I couldn't find it. Some places they can hide them pretty cleverly, and for a lot of visitors, including myself, we can miss those little hidden gems. But I tried quite a bit to look for the entrance to this one and was unsuccessful. So if I've missed it, I apologize in advance, Builder. But this one starts off with a super amazingly beautiful bridge uh, that spans the water feature that is prominently um, placed ahead of the main building structures. Um, this took, I imagine, some planning as to what it was going to look like, how they were going to put it together, the pieces that they were going to use. But basically, it's just a lot of 2x4s, not only for the base, but for the railings and I don't know what you call these, the bracing bracket thingies, even the above parts. And then intermittently is the pillars for some of the structure. But I thought this was a super cool looking bridge. They very easily could have just put stones in to have you walk across the little river, but I thought this was a very unique approach to bridging the teleport pad to the main property. I could see this in so many different uses for like a city build or like a mining town, and this like bridge leads to where the entrance of the mine is and that kind of thing. I love the detail of it. They could have left these railings out and just like put some straight ones in, but the little V, like almost like a stitching design, really lends itself to look not lacy or dainty, but just some extra character. It also mimics the larger V shapes as well. For the water feature, I think it's mostly stitched together winding rivers, and with the plot mostly surrounded by those brambles, the ones that I like to use as like clumps of trees. It's really meant to be like a little grass thing, and we've just been going nuts with oversizing it to make it look like a little forest. It's a quick way of planting down a lot of trees without having to plant them individually. I mean, kudos to those that can do it, but I think this is much quicker and more efficient if you're wanting to reserve all of your detail in your house to reduce the amount of trees that you have to plant down to make it look foresty. Saves up and spend elsewhere. Again, you can see they've got some of those spring decor plants. The rainbow, of course, is pretty cute. The base of the property, I think, is mostly the gray stone, and then they've just thrown in like mossy overgrowth and such here and there. But like these little patches of grass where the flowers are, those are just upside down snowy hills. You can see the white puffs of snow coming up as you walk across them. Again, it's a great way of kind of adding in elevations of grass in the ground where you wouldn't normally. The only thing is, and I'm probably going to be kind of rude to the builder, but you can see that the they don't mesh perfectly with the shape of the stone. Now, if you don't want this actually showing where the edge of the snowy hill is, and kind of you can see the snowy hill and even some of the plants sticking out, a great way to hide that is by maybe putting in more little overgrowth or stones or some other kind of item to kind of hide that. But again, this kind of just gives an indication. This is perfectly smooth because it's been pushed down enough where it blends in, but like here, it's still raised up. Just a small thing, but something to point out. That's why it's so difficult when you want to have two of those snowy hills kind of butting up to make like a little bit of a bump. It's really difficult to do because you can see it's like a razor thin edge and it's super hard to get it lined up just right. That's why most of the time we find other ways of kind of blending it in by using stones and stuff to hide it. Notice the railing on this like little porch area mimics the bridge workings as well. It's a great way of tying in the two structures. The little podium for the Hugel statue is just the end of a pillar. I guess we can go down this first. Again, notice the plant usage is pretty varied. There's like Far Side Space Wheat. You've got just regular brambles. I think I think it's called the habanero flowers. Those are from, I can't think of it. It's one of the deserty places, I think. Um, it's just fun that you don't have to stick with a particular type of plant or tree. Even if you're going for a desert scene, you can still kind of sneak in other types of plants. Same way with here, um, kind of a foresty, very rich and green, but they're still able to sneak in like moon plants and things like that that you wouldn't normally just think that that's where they would go, but they work nice. Again, working with some of it is the Protostar Insta Hills, and then the rest is like upside down snowy hills to get that elevation. And then they've blended it in by using stones to kind of edge around it. Here we have what looks to be like a pool. Again, it's winding rivers. Um, Archways, and then inside, where to like get the camera to go. Just I think it's more stone, and then probably like domes or something to get that curved part. This, of course, is the thinker head. I'm starting to lose my voice. Thinker head. A lot of people like use it for landscaping, just using the top and back of the head. Over here we have another little pond type thing. And snowy hills, we're raising this greenery up. I think the vines come from the spring decor pack again. And yes, TW, they do. I've come across a few of their places. Some of them I'm not quite sure if they're actually done yet, but this one was too pretty to resist. This one is the exotic decor couch, and then they've added the cushions onto it. It'll look a little different than just leaving it as is. The house, a lot of it's glass, so it's very open. There's like little privacy, so I guess it's no surprise that it's kind of like a secluded custom house. But again, you can see for a lot of the railing and stuff, they've mimicked or repeated the design pattern. They've got the granite pillars for some of it. The Oran leaf windows. for some of the decoration. You'll see that repeated in a lot of places, both inside and out, I think. This little fountain thing is repeated a few places, I think. It's mostly, again, pillars, draping floors, those windows with the, I think it's the Oran night light or night lamp or something, with the older waterfalls. Jazz it up a little bit. Okay, for this little living room area, you can see again, a lot of our shelves that are supplied, they come empty and people have to pick and choose what they're going to display on it. So it's always fun to like look at the details of items they decide to place on them. Same way with here. I think this is actually a chandelier and they're using kind of like a little candelabra kind of thing. And then the Hugel portrait. Now some will actually go through the trouble of adding like a 2x4 to make it look like it's got a little stand for the portrait. Little flower pot made out of a cylinder there. The table is actually benches with a framed glass on top. The dividing area between the rooms is the exotic dividers. Then you've got, it looks to be travel posters with one of those. We've got like a smoke pack and a fire pack, and in the fire pack, one of them is like a multi-colored flame. I think that's the one they're using for this particular fire. But if you don't want to use one purchased from the cash shop, there are other, there's like the small campfire and the Falcon fire pit and stuff that you can use. There's even like the burning track that you get from the Z Pre-Invitational that you could use for a fireplace as this. Of course, the thorny logs. And then on the side here is the graded floor panel. Here again, that little waterfall fountain thingy. More pillars to kind of make this a little solid, and then they've changed it to a red, the exile walls. The dining table is one of the exotic tables, just pushed down, and then they're using, of course, the tea set that comes with the spring decor pack. Over here is the laundry room space, and they've got their own little washer and dryer set. It's basically just Oran floors, a plate and a hammer for the dryer door, travel posters and metal edge 2x4 for the washer thing. And then for the buttons, I believe it's 2 Chua cups per, and then a detonator per. So detonator with the little antenna and the blinky thing on the top as well. But that button is a favorite for televisions and game controllers, computer hard drives. A lot of people like using the explosive like detonator things for everything but the actual detonator. Then comes one of my favorite rooms in most houses, is the kitchen. You can see why there's just so much detail that can get thrown in. There's a lot of options for people if they want cabinets. Are they going to be clear so that you can see inside them? This one is chosen to make most of them that way, which adds a lot of interest to it. That makes you want to look inside and see what's in there. But this particular cabinetry, they've used a variety of decor. Some like to use the same pieces over and over, and it makes it look really matchy-matchy. But this one, even though it's got some mix and match pieces, it still looks nice. The colorings of a lot of the pieces kind of match with like the green turquoise look There's a little bit of that green turquoise in this pattern. There's some in the Cassian floors, and then you've got the rug to match with it. You've also got a little bit of that bluish green in this. So it kind of blends okay, even though some of it is, different materials. Even though they've added in like the Exile floors here. They've got a airtight container here. They're using the braided floor panels to make this refrigerator thing. And then 2x4s and such for some of the framework on the cabinets. So it's still nicely done. Looks nice. I guess this is the towel holder. It's just a pillar. Icicles to make it look like that's the freezer section. Some will go through the trouble of adding misty smoke stuff, but it's really not necessary. If you want to make it look even more frosted, they could have layered up the framed glass or the unframed glass, and it'll frost up the corners a little bit, make it look colder. Notice these cabinets are empty. They got the plates. Notice the spacing is a little uneven. Something I noticed. Probably not something they want you to see, but that's something I spot. But it's a trick to try and make like stacked items that don't actually come stacked, and you have to figure out, okay, how much space is it, like just a little bit or a little bit more, and you have to just kind of decide. But something like that I noticed because the spacing's different, so I'm thinking, well, why is that? Is like maybe the plate's bigger, but then they're not. They're the same size, so I don't know. Anyway, I think they're using this. I want to say it's probably, if they had like maybe put some bread sticking out of it, it'd probably make a good toaster. But it could be just being used as a container kind of thing. This here, the little tray, is actually the herb hanging thingy. It's like there's several shelves and it's got the herbs stuck in it. You turn it over and it looks like a little handled tray kind of thing. I like to use it for like a bed in the breakfast kind of deal. For the cutting board, I think it's just the end of one of the pillars, and then they've just stuck the knives in there. And then of course the stove is just stove. Yeah, it's this item here. This item here is the same thing this is. It's just one, you see the back of it and not the plants. Don't forget the waste bucket. Some people will actually put trash in there. We've got a lot of trashy items, not just like the discarded paper notes stuff, but there's also the firecracker wrappers that have been shredded or blown up. You could use those. A lot of people use things like the beer cans and stuff. I'm sure there's some other things that could be used. Trashed. Really just about anything. If you just throw it in there and it just looks like a sham. Okay, I think that's it for this part of the house. The glass is really confusing because I think I can go through there. It's slightly frosted, so. But then we get to the upper deck, and you see some of the, again, some of the summer decor pack, the Barbie and the cooler. These plants come from the spring decor pack, the ones in the pots. Then you have the upper area. This is more like this is the game room, another kind of sitting area, and then I think the bedroom. So the game room has a little couch, another little shelving area, different little knickknacks. And then, of course, the pool table. Now, we've seen a number of different ways that people have put the pool table together. Some get really fancy with it. Others like to keep it simple. Um, Notice at a distance, you don't see the little ball things there. You have to really zoom in. That's because at certain distances, some items, when they're shrunk down to a certain size, the rendering just kind of says, that's not important, we won't show it just yet. It's really awkward if you're building a custom house out of certain materials, and maybe at the entrance to the plot from that distance it looks like they're not there, so it's like part of the house is missing. It plays into the idea of uh, how you want your visitors to see a particular thing, especially when it's the house. You want them to see the whole house and not just like half of it being visible and the other half looking like it's been, zapped away or something. That's one of the reasons why on a lot of the plots that I put together, I purposely force the visitors to come through like a tunnel or uh, uh, a closed-in pathway through trees or something. I force them to get closer to the house before they actually see it. That way, at a specified distance, they're able to see the house in its entirety. But there are some that, they'll let you see the house from a distance, but maybe the whole thing doesn't render properly. And in cases like this one with like the little pool balls or whatever, um, that's just one of those things that unless your visitor is really paying attention, um, or always has their camera zoomed in at a certain distance, they may actually miss some of those details. That's why you'll see me when I'm running through a house. I often am zooming in and out because I like having the camera out so I see more at once, but I often kind of, move my camera around because you never know what you're going to miss on accident with details like this that just might simply the rendering not permit it to show up until you get really close to it. But the table itself is actually, I think it's an exile table that's been framed in 2x4s. But notice how it's like one 2x4 here and then two smaller ones here. And then they've left the gaps for the pockets. That I thought was a clever idea. The cue sticks are the Draken spears. Some use the sparking wires, if you can get past or figure out a way to kind of hide the sparking part. For the billiard balls or whatever, this one's using the beach balls from the summer decor pack. Others use the sporty spheres, kind of the same things you use for that ball pit that we saw earlier. The bottoms of the tall files are a big fave. And now that we have the color shifting, you could get even more detailed in making all the different colors to kind of liven it up a little bit. I think this slot here is for when the balls go down into the pockets, they line up here. I think that's what that's meant for. Some will go into detail and actually have like the little triangle rack that you gather at the balls and set them up for a new game, that kind of thing. But simple is good too. Here's like the little living room daybed area. Again, the fireplace is similar to the one down below, but then you have this nice big water feature that's showing up from kind of the outside. The daybed itself is just a mattress smushed onto a pair of Dominion benches. That's where you're getting all this like golden marquee design stuff. The top of it is actually the seaweed style flat beach towel. Again, that comes from the summer decor packs. There's like 3 different packs, and it just depends on what style of beach towels you want, or beach balls. I think they all kind of match with the beach theme. There's the seaweed, then there's a pastel striped one, and then another type of striped one, I think. Then you've got this nice little aquarium. It's just the granite floors, granite pillars, graded floor panel, framed glass, of course, and then barnacle weeds and any kind of plant that has a little bit of movement is great for um, the aquariums because it kind of gives the illusion that there's moving water in there. For the fishies, a lot of people will use just the plushies like the shelark and the gar and the sunfish. Some will actually fashion their own fish. Um, but with the steam gliders that come with, I want to say it's the waterfall decor pack, um, have become a big fave because they look like little, lovely little fishies. You can also use some of the plants like the tentacle plant, turn it upside down, it looks like a jellyfish, that kind of stuff. So you have kind of a mix and match of stuff that's stationary, stuff that isn't, and but you can tell that the steam glider works really well as a moving critter, even though it doesn't actually move about, it's wiggly. And then here is another sitting space and then the bedroom, and I guess that would be the bathroom probably. Again, very similar setup to downstairs with the way the table is done. This little bench here is actually a chair, and they've just pushed it so that the back of the chair is inside the wall. If you're wondering about the drink, the little wedge of pineapple or whatever that is, that comes from the summer decor pack. It's part of that whole getup. The bed, they've actually kind of sunk down a little bit. I think it's usually got a real thick golden base, and they've pushed it so that it's not as visible. And then the bathroom, they're using combinations of like the exotic decor dresser. They've just mushed it down with the bathroom sink. Some will go through the trouble of adding water or something blue to make it look like water. For the toilet, it's just a Dominion chair, which I think is fun because it kind of looks like the lid to the toilet seat there. I also like to use it for barber seats and stuff. And on them. And then I found this kind of funny. They're exposed to the world there, but there's a changing, like a privacy screen, which I thought was kind of funny in my own goofy sense of humor. The tub, of course, is again the winding rivers. For the faucet handles, it's just the hammer heads. And then, of course, they got that towel again. When you get one of those packs, it comes with 3 versions. It's a rolled towel, a folded towel, and a flat towel. Okay, I think that's it for this particular build. I'm gonna go around on the outside again real quick. Make sure we don't miss anything. About here. Yeah, it's basically just, you know, flowers and greenery and little rolling hills. The river or whatever this is, the water feature is supposed to be all mostly around the edges of the plot, and then the house itself built up on the stone here. So yeah, I think that is it for this plot. Again, I didn't find access to an interior, so I'm going to say there isn't any, because I think it would be like somewhere like down over here. somewhere in here maybe. Really don't know. But I couldn't find, I went through all the edges in here. I didn't find a hole or a hidden cave or anything. So again, if I missed it, I do apologize in advance. But yeah, I suspect there just wasn't one. They wanted to focus on the exterior, and a beautiful job that they did as well. So there you go. So the last one, let's see if this loads up, is Island Low. Oh, did you didn't find any either? Well, good. Then I don't feel so bad because I know some places they just really hide them really well, and I feel so bad when I've toured a place and then like a week or so later I hear from somebody that knows the builder or from the builder themselves saying, "Oh, there was actually a entrance," and it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." Sure, and Anon, you can ask anything you want. I can't guarantee I can give you an answer. Maybe someone in the chat can help you, but I can certainly try. Um, but yeah, questions are certainly welcome. This one is Isle Low, and it's called Meet Me at the Bluffs. I thought this was an adorable, not, I don't want to say simple, but there's like, once you look at it, you'll notice that it's pretty understated, even though it's cleverly done. It's basically an island, like a fishing island kind of thing. As far as I am aware, Anon, yes. As long as your character is not deleted or removed or anything, then it should be fine. I know a lot of my characters, I've not visited them in ages, and they're still there. It's just I would say on the safe side, maybe log in every few months just in case. I don't really know, honestly, if there's a policy. I know some games that I've played in the past, like if you're gone for X amount of months, like 6 months or a year or something, then your account becomes subject to being closed or something. But I don't think that's the case with WildStar. At least I've never heard of such. But it's always better to be safe than sorry. If you know you're going to be inactive for a while, just maybe check in on it once in a blue moon. Um, but as far as I know, I've not heard of anyone losing their stuff. Now, I know that there was a period of time for those that were with us before the server mergers and before they changed how the names and stuff were done. I know there was some confusion as to how that went. Some thought their characters had been removed, but actually were there. They were just not on the right server logging in or something. But beyond that, as far as I know, there isn't any kind of policy set in. But again, I don't know for sure. I always kind of check in pretty regular, partly because of the stream and stuff. But even before the streaming, I made sure to log in once in a blue moon, just in case. But as far as I know, your plots are still, as long as you left them public, they can still be visited and enjoyed by those that are able to get in, that kind of thing. So back to the island business. It is mostly the gray stone, I think. Um, and you can see it's pretty much just rock, lots and lots of rock. And they've taken the time of covering the rock with patches of green grass. So it really lends itself to like just one of those, I don't know, uh, cutesy little islands where you would imagine, just some critters that maybe are native to just that island, some rare bird or some kind of, lion or something. And as far as the water goes, I'm honestly not sure what they're using for that. You'll see it move and fluctuate. In fact, in one of the areas, it actually looks like it's going up and down. But I really don't know what particular item is being used for that. But you can see how it kind of flashes every now and then. I really don't know what it is. but it works well for this particular build. I can take a look. You just need to give me your character name and let me know which region it's on. I have access to both, so it wouldn't matter. You can just message me with the information if you want, and we can go from there. So if we walk around, again, it's mostly just stones and grass patches, and you can see they've got some of those spring decor pack flowers scattered here on the hillside, the slope or whatever you want to call it, which kind of, again, lends itself to like a nice little island deal. Over here, we actually have a little shack. Okay, let me write that down then. Did I get the spelling right? On Jabbit, okay. No problem. The only annoying thing is I wish we could find ways of turning off the honeycomb barrier thing, because as soon as you get a little close to the house, the honeycomb pattern starts showing up, which is it kind of destroys the look of the scenery from the side, but thankfully, if you back off enough, it should disappear and you can get some nice screenshots. It's a great shot with the moon in the back, the clouds, and the smoke coming up from uh, the little fisherman's shack or house or whatever you want to call it. But this kind of gives you an idea of what this place is used for. Now, I assume this is supposed to be the outhouse, even though it doesn't open, but you can see the little moon shape here. Now, I'm not quite sure what they're using. It looks like curved walls, and then they've just used multiples of them to kind of give that moon look to it. And then for the handle, it's hover part piece. Now, it could be hover part pieces being used here too. Either or probably works. And then the hinges for the door, they even bothered to do that. Those are hammers. And then, of course, the main part of it is decking pieces. Now, I believe that's what they're using for the house as well. But notice how patchworky it looks. I think they're using multiples and they're just overlaying them to make it just have some more character into the texture of the wood and how it's patched together. And then, of course, they're using the tiki roof um, as the main roofing part. For the window shuttery type things, those are just wood dividers they're using for that. Here, there's a little kind of a gardeny type thing. Again, it's the decking pieces for the framework of it, and then the sandbags for the dirt. And then they're just using different plants for the little seedlings and stuff, such as I believe some of these are some of the vines from the spring decor pack, and they've just got them kind of curved down. You could probably get away with using some of the Oran fence posts or something. They've got a little bit of vines on there that you can use. This is like an upside down habanero, an infused habanero bloom. It's the one that looks like it's blue, watery innards for its stalk. And then, of course, the leafy stalks and the lily leaf plants. That. Now, if we get up close and personal, this is where the details really shine. Because again, I said this is kind of like a fishing island, so I don't know if you can see it really well. I'm going to have to try and squeeze in here good. But they've actually made some little fishies. There's like these little blue ones made out of blue files, I think. It's really hard to see the detail at this distance, but it's just a number of different types of bottles, I think, to make the fish shape with the tail. Those are the like the tops of the files. Um, they've used, it looks like some of those Cassian firecracker fireworks to make these like little shrimpy looking things in the bowl here. Um, the wine bottles, the green ones for this, I don't know, flounder looking thing. It's like a big, longer fish with the eye and stuff. And then I think these are supposed to be clams or something. I'm not really positive on that, but I suspect it's maybe, I really don't know what those are. It could be like dome pieces with maybe snow clumps, but then they've got these little black spots, so I'm not positive what that is. But I think that's supposed to be like a barrel of clams. But again, it's little details like that that are so adorbs. And then for the little squiddy looking things, I think those are, yeah, it's nautical chairs. And then they've got like pillars, like they've spiked them on a little toothpick kind of thing. And then I don't know if I can get close enough. This is really awkward to get up there. There's, can you see them? There's like little, I can't get my camera angle just right. It's like little crabs. I think it's some of the red fireworks. I don't know what they're using for the eyeballs, but I presume maybe some shrunk down files or something. It's so hard to get a good, go from this way again. I can do it that way. My camera just will not cooperate. Maybe if I jump up and zoom in that way. No, still not very good. But it's like little crabbies, adorbs. They almost look like ticks. It's so kind of gross. But you get the idea. They even have a little money pouches and stuff with the stacks of coins and stuff down here. Yeah, you can see the fish. It's the bottles there for the, but how cute is that? So it's a fisherman and then he sells his fishies for visitors and stuff. So I thought that was very cleverly done. But again, I love the mishmashing of the decking pieces for the house here. And if we go inside, you can see again a lot of the nautical stuff coming through. You've got the, I think these are lobster cages. It's basically the Marauder net shelf on either end, and then just 2x4s lining the curvy part of it, or to make the curve, and then 2x4s on the bottom as well. Those are the little lobster cages that they'd send down and trap the lobsters. You got the fishing nets here. Over here, you've got an assortment of poles and other little nets and stuff. Presumably, these are maybe some bait you can use. And then up on the wall is, I guess, some of their catches. It's those orange bottles. I think it's the short version. To make these little, you know, how the fishermen like to put up their catch on the wall as kind of a trophy thing. But it's just lots and lots of these bottles. And over here, again, I think this is supposed to be like bait or something. It looks to be like the hanging fruit, but then they also have the intestine. It's the one that I said looks like worms. And I presume this is maybe where either they prepare the bait or they fillet their fishies and stuff, because they have their little knife rack here. You can see the where the knives are stuck into the board. And then up here, nice little fireplace, and it's just curved walls and cylinders with, it looks like the Falcon fire pit. They got their little pet turtle or shelark on his pillow pile. And then obviously using a lot of the nautical stuff, decoration. I like the little simple bookshelf over here. It's just more of the decking pieces just put into a shelf. It blends in, you almost miss it, but it's there. Same way with the little nightstand here. They could have used a crate, but they made their own crate using the decking piece. And yes, the roof is open. Like the builder, that doesn't really bother me. Seems breezy, and it seems like that would be something a fisherman would enjoy, having the open air. But if it bugs you, there are ways of patching that in with like the corner pieces and stuff of the decking. Easily close that all up. So from the fishing shack, we go up the little path here. Again, notice the massive amounts of grass patches they had to use to fill this up and make it so full. Now, if you're looking at it from a different angle, it may not look as full because of the way the grass is slanted in those patches. But if that bothers you and you have the space or the decor limit to allow for it, God, my nose is itching. Maybe I'm getting ready to have some company or something. You can double up on it and like rotate one like 180 degrees, and so it looks a little fuller. But from the one direction, it looks nice and plush with grass. So it makes it easy to distinguish where the grasses are and where the worn down path is supposed to be. It also helped that they lined it with fencing and flowers, but you get the idea. That's, again, it's a way for a builder to say, this is where you're supposed to walk, kind of thing. Up we come on the peak of this island. You can see there's the house, and you can see that motion. Again, I have no idea what this, it looks like to me. It looks like an oversized cobweb because of this part here where it looks like kind of like the lines of the cobweb. And I know the cobwebs move because it's like supposedly like the wind is puffing through it and it makes it, and I've used it for like fog effects in like my graveyards and stuff. And that's what it reminds me of. I don't know if that's what they're using here, but see how that marking, it looks like an oversized cobweb. That's probably how they're getting that influx of where it looks like the water is flowing and ebbing or whatever you call it. But yeah, that's what it looks like to me. I wasn't sure, but now they've gotten a better look. I'm pretty confident that that's an oversized cobweb on top of, the winding rivers and stuff. So interesting approach to it for sure. And there's probably pros and cons to using it, like how it disappears into the rocks and then suddenly it's there and suddenly it's gone again, that kind of thing. Here we have some more of the decking pieces and pillars for supports to line this little uh, slab of rock to guide you down. And then, and they're using the mossy overgrowth. You can see some more of those steam gliders, patches of grass. It's really nicely done to make it look good and natural. Here we have a little fishing station. Somebody's got their poles set out. We jump down into the water here and find access, I believe. Now, I don't know what this is supposed to stand for right here. I don't know if it's S for secret or something, but there's an actual door here. Yes, the S is stationary, which is a little plays a little at odds with the door itself, but I think the idea is that the door is moving here and you just ignore that it stays there. This gives you access to the bunker house. Go inside the bunker house, it becomes this creepy, dark place. I don't really know the story behind it, obviously, but I can kind of guess that maybe this is supposed to be like um, where there's a hidden treasure, and this is supposed to be like a lake of creepy stuff. Maybe it's supposed to be acid, or it's inhabited by some bad creatures because there's bones and stuff all through here. Um, but there is a boat that is chained up here. It looks like it's sunk into the water. Um, if we come out, we can kind of take a closer look. It's made out of 2x4s and got some benches, I think, for the seats, but I thought it was a really cute little boat. I could easily see someone using this in a little water park kind of thing, or a park that has water, like little rivers and stuff. You know, I know we have the gondola that a lot of people like to use, but it's pretty specific to Orin, and there's just parts that you just can't easily modify or cover up to suit a different race or anything. So building your own little boat is a fun way of keeping it nondescript, I guess, as to who it might belong to racially wise, but so it can fit just anybody. And this is, but again, you can see how many pieces are being used to make this structure. There's a lot of this into that thing. So it's not necessarily practical for those that have gone through the trouble of putting a lot of detail elsewhere. So, and it's just kind of one of those things. If you're looking for a really cheapy kind of boat, and now with the color shifting, it might can work even better. But the I think it's the Dominion bookcase has that kind of angled shape. The only thing is you got the shelves, but if you like put some cushions or something in, I used it for one of my house builds, the house on stilts. I think it has a boat. You can use that if you don't want to go with the gondola or the trouble of making a really multi-piece item. Trying to think if there's another one. Some have used the wheelbarrow or the cover barrow. Um, that one's troublesome in the way that it actually moves. It works best if it's kind of in water that uh, so it looks like it's floating, but it's kind of tricky because then the water like comes up inside the bottom of the boat, so maybe not so much. Or if you're looking for a tugboat, I think one of the Protostar machinery things looks really good for that. Anyway, presumably you would take the boat and row it over to this little raised area. I'm not even sure what this item is that they're using. It looks like some kind of stone, but it's got these striations, so I'm not really sure. But come upon this little thing. I have no idea what this is. It looks like obsidian stones. So maybe that's what this is too. It's kind of hard to tell because again, the lighting in the room is really strange. But yeah, this is hard to get a close up of, but it looks like a necklace, and there's a glowy effect to kind of make it give this idea that it's magical. Even the necklace itself has a bit of glowy effect because part of it is that buoyant blue crystal, I think. So you got these little sparklies and stuff, but it's really hard to tell what all's part of it. It looks like maybe a piece of one of those taurine uh, decor pieces, and then for the chain itself, for the necklace part, hanging cables, I presume. But so it kind of has like, I don't know, magic secret item treasure kind of thing to it. what it actually represents, I don't know. Maybe it's something from a movie they saw or a book. I have no idea. But there you go. So this little secret cavey thing. Oops. Back up a little bit. Get to the door again. Then there's one last place that I was able to find. There may be more, but totally unawares. I'm just making sure I didn't miss. Yeah, I was afraid. Here's another little boat. Looks like it's on skis or some, looks like railing pieces. Again, it's little 2x4s. See how many's being used for just this little piece. And then the benches, of course. So it looks like maybe this is like where they build the boat and then it gets shoved off into the water, maybe? Not really sure. To visit these other little islandy things. And just stones with a lot of the overgrowth patches. I like this one because it's like turned funny, just misshapen. And you see there's another little cave thing here. We'll be going in there in a moment. I'm just kind of checking to make sure I don't miss anything else. Ooh, sliding down. There we go. And then out of the blue, there's sandstone. That was funny too. Just all these gray stones and suddenly sandstone. Okay, so I think we can go into the last part here. And basically, it's like a little Marauders hideout kind of thing. I don't know where this particular piece comes from. I don't know if that's specifically a Red Moon instance or raid possibly, but I love the way they've put together this little dock kind of thing. They went to the trouble of adding these little hookies for the boats to tie up on. It's basically just those Osun chain links, and they just stuck them into the decking pieces. Again, you got another little fisherman's bucket. Come along here, crates and stuff. Here is another little, I don't know why she's hanging upside down on there, but presumably they're selling their wares or something, or maybe charging people to stay here. I have no idea. But off inside, you see kind of like their little hangout area where they can play games, relax. Again, notice how the water or the cobweb keeps popping up. It's one of those cons to using that particular item. I imagine it was a pain. They probably had to put it in last because if they were moving anything around in here, during their editor mode, they might accidentally click the web if it pops up just enough. But for like the cushions stuck into the crates to make it a little softer. This little setup is just two of those crates together to make this little table kind of thing. They actually put stuff inside the crate. A lot of people don't do that. We've got some cabinets and things with open drawers and stuff, and not everyone goes to the trouble of adding those little details inside there. For this table, it's an upside down feeding trough. And then they have the cards table stuck inside so that the cards are still visible, but it looks like part of the table itself instead of the box. Excuse me. Then on the next level, you have their little eating hall, a bunch of picnic tables strung together. Notice the candle, ritual candle circle. That thing gives off some major light. Um, It's got a pulsing light as well. If you want something similar but don't really want the candles, the Lop shrine does the same thing with the glowing ebbing light. If you're wanting something along those lines. Next is the barracks or bunker room. Some have actual beds. Some just have these little rope hammock type of things. It's too narrow to actually go in between them, but you get the idea that it's pretty closely packed like sardines. And then the last room is for the presumably the head honcho. Got his own little bed kind of thing. And if you look closely, see how he's got access there, but he's also got his little spyglass. Again, it's one of those things that's hard to really zoom in on, but it looks like cylinders with the what's it called, the porthole window. And it's hard to tell, but I think it's two triangle pieces just kind of like stuck together that way to make the little stand for it. I don't know why that's lighting up. Down this way. So there you go. I think that's it for this. Oh wait, something here. Little treasure room. Glad I was looking around because I almost missed that. Again, it's treasure piles, but they've added their own bits to make it uniquely theirs. Some people just use the treasure piles as is, but these have actually added some extra bits. Like this, the pile of coins that's from the Leprechaun pot of gold. Stuff like that. Any way to get back there, but there you go. I almost missed that, so good that I didn't. Yeah, I like it. It's again, it's kind of got that. You think it's simple when you first, look, but then if you really get into it, you see the detail and the care that they used in, you know, adding all these interesting bits. It's really given it its own character, and it's a worthwhile visit. I'm going to go over here and make sure there's nothing I'm missing on the side. Options. A flying creature. Are you talking about the steam gliders? If you're talking about these little critters here, those come from, I want to say it's the waterfall decor pack. Let me take a look. I will confirm that for you. Um, that. Okay. A waterfall. Glitter flies. Maybe it doesn't come with those. I thought it did. Um, maybe it's the underwater one. I don't think you can get them as just a regular drop. Now, I say that, and I'm not really sure. All the terminite stuff and all plants like Well, I thought it was from the summer one, but I mean the waterfall one, but I guess honestly I don't know. Is that what they're from? I wish when you come here you could um, like if you go to Madame Faye's bit, I wish they would like have a list because I know they change it pretty regularly, but I don't know. So yeah, I guess TW is right. They must come from the uh, Madame Faye. Uh, I know there's been sometimes when we've gotten free tokens, but I honestly don't remember how we got a hold of those. But you can buy the currency, obviously, using real currency, I guess. And then you go into the window and do the gambling kind of thing. But I tend to not use that myself because I have really bad luck when it comes to that kind of thing. So I kind of avoid it if at all possible because I usually have bad luck. So if I'm going for something specific, um, I know better than to try because if it's something I really want, I'll never see it. Now, if it's just something I'm just kind of like treating myself to it, then, if I happen to get something fun, then great. But if I'm actually aiming for something, that's like the worst thing to do because uh, I definitely will not get what I'm actually hoping to get. That's just how my luck runs. I don't see any other little hidden goodies out here. Is it? Okay, let me see. Where do you even get to that from here? How do you get to benefit? So that tells you how many times I've used that. I think I've used it just like a couple, and it was only when we got like some freebie tokens or something. Is it like something? I don't even know. Excuse me. But I know they change it now, not as regularly as some would hope, I think, but they do change it out every now and then. I like how they got the little juts of stone even in some places. Again, it's just those little touches that kind of make it look more real. Oh, is it this? Oh, okay, it's the little carrot button. Oh, there you go.
Madame Fay say,
Apparently I have one token.
Fay not know what it is.
View the
And
potential
yes,
rewards. Okay, there you go. So,
give
let me
Fay
see.
shiny and she tell fortune. Go on, you can do it.
Well, I don't see one that actually says that it's
Fay say,
specifically
try
that,
all
but
shinies at once. Yes, yes, that's the answer.
it might be the extraterrestrial decor pack. Like maybe you get some of those like termite looking dudes or something. I don't know what
What can
these
folk
decor
waiting for?
packs include.
Give Fay more shinies.
To see, it's just kind of anyone's guess kind of thing, I guess.
Outlook not good. Too bad, so
That's such a
sad.
weird feature,
Spirits
and
have
it's
spoken.
addictive probably because you basically it's like gambling. So yeah, it's definitely not for me. Anyway, I think that is all for you guys today. Three houses in one setting, so not too bad. I think we're getting close to the point where I can probably get comfortable with doing community now. I may not be doing it as I did before, where I stream on Wednesday and then also Thursday. I may end up doing it, just splitting it into the 2 weeks. just to make sure I don't strain my voice and stuff, because already I'm really feeling it. So yeah, just thought I'd warn you on that. But hopefully we can get back into some of the community tours, because I know there's a lot of amazing ones already set up and others coming as they continue to work on them and improve them and stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the tours today. There's a lot of fun little details and things that I think people can be inspired by and modify to their own needs and uses. So yeah, I hope you guys had fun. Remember, we do this every Wednesday, so if you have the chance, be sure to join us again if you can. And again, if you can't make it, we always send these videos to YouTube. You can visit the channel there and catch up on all the homes that you may have missed. So we've literally toured probably close to 400 or 500 by now. So there's like hours and hours of footage for you to enjoy. Have a moment to do some viewing. Nothing else better to do. But yeah, so yeah, I hope you guys had fun. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Until then, have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye bye.